Welcome to Dirty Water Weekend Live. I'm Brianna DeNucci.
I'm Samir Daouk.
And this is our Sports Extra. Here's our 2 cents. We're going to talk about Bruins, Celtics, Patriots. But first, the Red Sox, back on topic of discussion. They are now doing another trade. This time it's the good old right-handed pitcher, Clay Buchholz, for money. That's it, right?
A Philly cheesesteak, some red pinstripes, and a salary dump. That's essentially what the trade for Clay Buchholz was.
Yes.
At the end of the day, the Red Sox are a team that likes to spend a lot of money. And in the coming years, with the young players that they have coming up, Xander Bogaerts, Mookie Betts, Jackie Bradley Jr., they're going to have to start signing some big contracts. And this is just a way for them to get some money off the books earlier on in that process.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, planning for the future. Another thing that they need to focus on and think about is filling the gaps for, again, we lost David Ortiz, so they need to figure out if they need more left-handed hitters and how they're going to fill that gap in the roster, in the starting lineup.
Certainly. I mean, that's a great point you bring up. The amount of left-handed pitching the Red Sox, left-handed hitting that the Red Sox currently have on their roster, and what David Ortiz provided as a power hitting, contact hitting, left-handed bat, average over 300, over 30 home runs, over 100 RBIs. It's not something you can just replace easily. In fact, it's probably something you can't replace, and that's. You know, we've seen that with the Red Sox, why they went out and got Chris Sale, why they went and signed Mitch Moreland as a free agent first baseman that they can have play Gold Glove caliber defense and put Hanley Ramirez at that DH spot. But both of them being right-handed or switch-hitting players that aren't exactly going to be that threat from the left, side of the plate every time they're in the box there. So what we can hope to see and what we hope as Red Sox fans is that Pablo Sandoval really turns a corner this year and provides that kind of production from the left hand.
Still some time, preseason's right around the corner.
2 months away, so it has a little bit more time.
You can work those pounds, get them off, get
Certainly.
prepped.
Well,
let's talk about the Bruins. Last night,
night,
they are coming off a 3-1 win in Florida.
Yes.
They are now third in the Atlantic Division. Are they going to maintain that spot and stay a playoff competitor?
Well, that's the million.
Can they say that?
That's the $1 million question, is it not? We've seen them the last couple of years be a playoff team up until the last week of the season. Last year, coming down to the last game of the season.
Yeah,
so it's really something that, even at this point, I don't feel confident saying, yes, they certainly are.
Even though the Atlantic Division is not as strong, so they have a better chance to make it and stay in that top 3?
Potentially.
But once they face the Metropolitan, it's anyone's game.
It's a crapshoot, and there's a chance that a team like Tampa gets hot and goes on a run and pushes the Bruins out of that third spot in the Atlantic, as you mentioned.
Tampa's very close.
The point differential between them is not very big, so
2-3 games.
By no sense of the sentiment that we said, the Bruins are going to be a lock for the playoffs. That's not. I wouldn't put any money on it, and I would be encouraged by the progress we've seen and by the way that the Bruins have played, but I wouldn't be confident enough that they're going to be in the playoffs. So
it's anyone's game.
It's anybody's game. That's how hockey works sometimes.
Talking about on-the-road wins, Celtics. They had a 3-game road trip and swept all the games. 4-game win streak, doing really well. So let's talk about it. Sure. They beat the Hornets 96-88. The Heat 105-95. The Grizzlies, now we're going to talk about more in depth about the Grizzlies because that was an overtime win, 112-109. And just recently, last night, they beat the Pacers 109-102. So let's talk about the Grizzly game. That was fantastic. Hands down, their best game of the season.
I completely agree. I think we saw what this Celtics team needs in terms of a new player on the team, a new position, or a new role to be filled in the point scorer. Isaiah came back off of
injury. Comes back 44 points.
Incredible showing and effort by Isaiah. But at the end of the day, he's not a guy who can do that every night or when you need it most, especially in the playoffs. Sometimes Isaiah gets, covered correctly and gets overexposed and is not. I mean, he has a big heart, and that's what really.
He's a big heart.
So it really matters at times, But it's not. He's not the kind of, when there's 10 seconds or less in the game and it's a 1-point game, is Isaiah going to be the guy that's going to hit the big shot?
We hope.
We hope, but that's all we have to hope on right now.
Right.
But this team, I mean, to not to be a pessimist or anything, I don't want to bring you down, Bree. I know it's the holidays and everything.
Yeah, come on.
But at the end of the day, Isaiah is not that go-to guy. He is He has great skills.
Well,
He's a good scorer.
Does this game show us, some light at the end of the tunnel, some hope that they ended up scoring 66 points in the second half? They are known for dropping the ball in the third quarter. They are known for not being able to close games. They tied it up, they went into overtime, and they closed the game, and they won. Is that an interpretation of how they can move forward, keep that momentum, and bring it home? They are statistically a better on the road team. They are better on the road. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's the pressure of being a Boston Titletown team, having 17 banners, going for that 18. They've been stuck on that for a while. Is that pressure getting to them, and are they better on the road because of that?
Sure. I mean, anytime you see a player come into any Boston sports team, not exclusively the Celtics or the Red Sox or the Patriots or wherever, there is some added pressure just because of what this town puts on their players, what they expect out of their teams, the history, you name it. This town is a very intense sports town, and it's a different type of media, it's a different type of fan interaction, and it's just a different playing environment overall.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, the win that we saw in Memphis was great, and it was a good effort, and Memphis is a strong team in the West. But does that mean that they're turning the page and becoming a team that can close out games like that? I don't necessarily think so, and this is why.
Okay.
They're a great team. They have good pieces. Al Horford on a max contract, solid, proven player, made several All-Star games, been a staple in Atlanta for years, and is now, a staple in Boston. You have Isaiah Thomas coming off a team-friendly contract. He's a player who's been always, with a chip on his shoulder, kind of an underdog mentality, and he's someone trying to prove himself. But are you going to tell me that Al Horford and Isaiah Thomas together are as good of a duo as any of these other title contending teams?
No, I'm not.
So when it comes...
That's the thing. The Celtics don't have a big three. They don't have franchise players, but they're still holding their own against those big three teams and those franchise players. They could maintain a level of competitiveness with the Warriors and with the Spurs. They dropped the ball, yes, but we're seeing a turnaround. 4-game win streak, solid win at Memphis. Can they keep that momentum throughout the rest of the season? It's still early, but maybe they're learning. It is a young team. They are some of them are playing together for the first time, and a lot of rookies. Jaylen Brown, all these people that are coming in, trying to fill gaps and getting on the starting five. So can they, find a starting five and, a sixth man to come off that can work in their rotation and get them the wins?
Well, I think something that Brad Stevens has always been really good about and, been given a lot of credit for is establishing a cohesive roster where it's not just 1 through 5 or 1 through 6. It's the 10 guys that he wants to play every night and play extraordinarily well with each other.
Yeah.
I mean,
they
use as much of the bench as is needed, and you get value out of guys like Jerebko and Rozier, and guys that, on a Cavaliers roster wouldn't really get any minutes, but on a Celtics roster not only get impactful minutes, but make big plays in those minutes.
Right.
And that's kind of the story about the Celtics.
Which I think that's why they're doing well.
They are doing well. I mean, a little underwhelming to what they were expected to be this year. They were expected to be that second team in the East. They're still behind Toronto.
Correct.
And I don't think in the offseason...
They're 3.5 behind the Toronto Raptors. They're 5 games behind the Cavs, but at least they're top 3 in the Eastern. I know that the Western's always typically a stronger conference.
Certainly in the last couple of years.
But in the Eastern, they're holding their own, and we'll see if they can, progress.
Sure. I think the real testament to how good this team is will be their playoff performance. They could go... they could have the same record they did last year.
Hopefully it's not unfavorable when they're matched up against the Cavs and get swept again. That would be awful.
Well,
very unlucky.
Nobody's hoping for that.
No one's hoping for that.
But if it happens in the Eastern Conference Final, I think we'll all, as Celtics fans, feel much better about it than if it happens in the first round against a team like Indiana or a team like Toronto. We don't want that.
No.
That's not what we've been working towards the past couple of years. We've seen the Celtics be an 8th seed or a 7th seed and barely slip into the playoffs and get swept.
Yes.
Then we saw them be a 5 seed last year and take a decently competitive series in Atlanta.
Right.
So this year they need to win a series or 2 and show that progression to try and lure one of those big 3 pieces in.
Correct.
I think Al Horford is the guy. I think Al Horford and Isaiah have established enough of a rapport and enough of credibility in the league to recruit players that have that capability.
Yeah.
Whether it's DeMarcus Cousins, a potential trade target that we've talked about.
Still would love to get Klay Thompson.
Klay Thompson is a pipe dream, but, a dream I love having every night. He's like my ideal Celtic. But,
yes.
If that were to happen, then, we would have a different conversation right now.
Yes, absolutely.
But until they get that guy, Klay, DeMarcus, whoever, Paul George.
To fill that gap.
That would be, we're going to have this same conversation over and over again.
Correct. Speaking of really good wins, this might be a good win, it might be not. But it gave the Patriots their 8th straight AFC title and a first-round bye. They ended up defeating the Denver Broncos in Denver, 16-3. Very low-scoring game. Yeah. Things to take away from that. I was, very confused about Brady. Well, maybe it was more strategic, actually. Now that we've discussed this a little bit, we'll discuss about it more. Brady just favoring Edelman, the short passes. Even Devlin got a pass. He didn't go to Hogan or Mitchell until well into the third quarter, and he didn't have very many completed passes to any of those receivers. It was mainly it was the Julian Edelman show, and it ended up winning in their favor, 16-3. And a fact that the Denver Broncos were the reigning Super Bowl champs, and now they aren't even in the playoff picture. As of right now, they could be a wild card. But that was a pretty memorable game. Pretty, monumental game. And what are your thoughts on that topic of Edelman being the star player of that game?
Well, I think I'll go broad and then specific to Edelman. So going into the Denver game initially, the Patriots had Baltimore at home and then a short week to get to Denver. And everybody around this area was saying that those were the 2 test games this season for the Patriots.
Yes.
The 2 hardest teams, one of the hottest quarterbacks and one of the best defenses you'll ever face.
Well, speaking of the Ravens game, that was a very good game, but Cyrus Jones struggling, punt returns, fumbling, had a lot of mishaps.
Certainly.
And Cyrus Jones was inactive at Denver, which was, pretty,
I think it speaks
standard.
for itself. When you struggle at that level consistently enough, you're not going to get any more opportunity.
No.
And that's what Belichick portrayed there. But going back to what we were saying earlier, I think that this Denver win really solidified not only the Patriots as a legitimate Super Bowl contender, but really answered a lot of questions we've been having on their defense. This team has had many questions, especially with the trading of Chandler Jones in the offseason and the trading of Jamie Collins right before the trade deadline, whether this was a Super Bowl contending defense. And at the end of the day, I think they answered that question with both of these teams, one of them the reigning Super Bowl champion, the other one having the hottest quarterback in the NFL going into their game. That 5-week stretch before the Patriots played the Ravens, Joe Flacco was lighting up the stat sheet and being a very consistent and persistent threat on offense. So I think we can feel more confident. I think when we compare this season to last season, where the Patriots are at the end of the season versus where they were at the end of the season last year, we feel a lot better about it. We're not doing drop kick punts to Philly, and we're not conceding overtime games to the Jets. We're actually competing and finishing out games. We're being solid in all 3 phases of the game, minus Cyrus Jones and his lack of being able to receive punts special teams wise against the Ravens.
Yeah.
Everything else has seemed pretty solid. I've been impressed. I haven't expected it. I've been impressed.
And I feel like it has been a challenging season just because they started off the season with a 4-game Brady suspension, which was very, controversial and unexpected, but they managed to get 3 wins out of that. And now they're 12-2. They're on a 5-game win streak. They have a first-round bye, and again, like I said, 8th straight AFC title. They are a team to mess with. They are a Super Bowl contender, in my opinion. And, the only thing that might be a little bit questionable right now and might have fans wondering is that Brady said that he might have a knee injury and was limited in practice, and now Brissett is active. So now we at least have a backup quarterback or a third-string backup quarterback now off their injured reserve. So that might be a little bit uneasy, but knowing Tom Brady, he's going to play through it. He's going to come, out on the other side, and that's the only thing that might have fans a little bit, worried going into the game on Christmas Eve against the Jets this Saturday.
Sure. I mean, you
injuries are always a topic.
Yeah, you threw a lot of stuff out there, but to start from the top down, the Brady injury, it's, stereotypical Belichick to put 10 guys on a questionable or probable or doubtful injury report. So it's something that
He's
happens
been on and
fairly
off.
often.
Since he's been back, he's been on and off that.
Right. Well,
I haven't really seen anything,
at this,
from that.
No, I
He's
mean,
been
there's
fine.
been the first game he was listed as questionable. He was not quite as effective throwing the ball and had a little bit of trouble scrambling out of the pocket.
I do remember
had a couple
that.
sacks, but that doesn't mean that he's not going to go out there and be a gamer.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, I think, to go to your Jacoby Brissett point, I think what that tells us as fans or as viewers of the Patriots is that he's the guy. He is the backup, which means that Jimmy Garoppolo is most likely on the trading block at this point.
Oh, wow.
And that is
a good point. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, this is something that I think will play more out in the offseason, so we don't have to touch upon it too much right now.
Right.
But I think the fact
Something
that
to think
Belichick
about.
wants to activate Brissett to carry him not only through the end of the season, when these games mean a lot,
Well, he
but
came
through
through.
the playoffs.
He came through.
I mean, he played great in the
He
two
played
games,
great.
2.5 games he played.
did.
He showed a lot of poise. He showed a lot of promise.
As a rookie,
QB, and to be a backup role for the next few years.
third string. But now,
Well,
if
third
he fills
string,
that
then-
gap to be backup, that's great.
Well, when he started the season, he was the backup to Jimmy Garoppolo.
Correct.
So,
And then Edelman was third
and then
string.
Edelman was a backup to
the
Brissett.
backup, yes.
But that's, we could talk
Neither here
about
nor
Edelman.
there.
We can
Correct.
throw Kent State highlights and watch Edelman be quarterback a different time.
Hey, Hogan got a throw in there. Maybe he'll be the fifth
Hogan
string.
too. Hey, you know what? Half these guys can throw, and that's kind of Bill's mentality.
versatility.
He wants wants the versatile players, guys who
Yes.
can show them that they're not just valuable in one aspect of the game, but that they can do multiple things and be valued in just as a pass blocker and as a catch receiver or whatever it may be. You look at guys like Bennett and Gronk, guys who can pass block, guys who can run block, guys who can receive the ball. You look at somebody like LeGarrette Blount, who's an incredible power runner, but he also has the ability to pass protect for Brady in the pocket. You look at somebody like Julian Edelman, who's kind of fearless, who can receive punts and kickoffs as well as be a slot receiver.
Absolutely.
So that's
the versatility. Love
it's
it.
the name of the game, and that's how the Patriots do what they do.
So hopefully, the Patriots will give everyone an early Christmas gift and get the win at home against the Jets. That's all the time we have for today. Have a happy holiday, and we will see you next time here at Dirty Water Weekend Live Sports Extra. I'm Brianna DeNucci.
I'm Samir Daouk.
Have a great holiday.
Dirty Water has launched the all-new DirtyWaterMedia.com. DirtyWaterMedia.com combines the power of Boston's #1 nightlife and entertainment show, Dirty Water TV, and its sister publication, Dirty Water News. Add in Boston's all-new go-to sports destination, Dirty Water Sports, and you have the ultimate source for what's happening in New England. DirtyWaterMedia.com offers a dynamic team of writers and bloggers, keeping you informed up to the very minute. Log on to DirtyWaterMedia.com today.